Bishop Bill Wack is the Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee's bishop, and he's here with us today. You just put out a letter to the flock here in Pensacola-Tallahassee, all the Catholics that live here. About, I think, 50,000 people here identify as Catholic, roughly. What did you say in that letter, and why did you determine that right now is the time to say it?
Yeah, this is a letter to all those who are Catholics in the diocese. That is the Panhandle, basically. And actually, it's like about 75 or 80,000 people. And basically, why now? Every year, especially in October, we focus on issues of life. And typically, that's been, our opposition to abortion and more positively speaking, our support of mothers and families. But also, I think we've been asked, well, not asked, we're just reminded to expand that. What does it mean to be pro-life? It means more than just being anti-abortion. It means caring for the poor and those who are marginalized, for the immigrant, for those who are imprisoned unjustly, things like that. So it came out in the month of October because of that. But it's also timely in our country, I believe, because, we're hearing so many stories about forced deportations and those immigration centers, that are opening up around the country and here in Florida. And so that's why it came out. And it's really to address especially to the Catholic faithful.
Part of the letter, I remember you talked about the tragically named Alligator Alcatraz. Why is that a tragic name for you? And what does it say about where we are in our country?
I think it has an official name. I forgot what it is, but I call it the detention center in the Everglades. That moniker that's been given, I think, is just not helpful. It is. It really makes fun of the situation. I remember when it was first used, someone said, because if they get out of this place, well, the alligators or the pythons will get them, and it's really not helpful, I think, in this conversation, and there are two more that are being proposed. One is Deportation Depot, I believe, in Jacksonville, and maybe Panhandle Pokey here in our diocese. And I think they are. We should call them what they are. They're detention centers. They're holding facilities, if you want. But anyway, that's why I said tragically dubbed. I just don't think that's helpful. It's to instill fear, and it's a mockery of our judicial system, I think.
So like you said a little bit earlier, this is Celebrate Life Month for Catholics around the country. And since the Supreme Court ruling that basically devolved that decision for whether or not to allow abortions in a state to the states, it seems like there's been a big shift in terms of policy focus for the Catholic Church away maybe from abortion to other things like immigration, like education, things like those that are all kind of the whole life ethic. Is that something you've seen, or is that just something that I'm perceiving?
No, I think you're right. I think that's it with the overturning of Roe versus Wade. The focus is also on supporting families, especially locally, at the state level or even local level, because it's not a national issue anymore. But you're right. I mean, and I think then we've been doing this before, even before that decision was handed down. We've been focusing on greater issues as well, not greater, but an expanded understanding of what it means to be pro-life. But especially now, I think it makes sense to say, great. So we have the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Now, where can we really focus our attention nationally and as a church?
As the Bishop of Pensacola-Tallahassee, you have the state capitol there. So you do everything from the Red Mass to celebrate the opening of the legislature. But you also, I would imagine, are able to see the governor and the state senators, the Senate president. If you could talk to them about this situation right now, what would you want to say to them directly?
Well, I do get to visit with them occasionally when they're available. I make myself available all the time, but especially during the Catholic Days at the Capitol when the legislature is in session, we all kind of converge on the Capitol and meet, as you said, with the Senate president and maybe the speaker and the governor as well. What we say to them is we like to look at the various policies that we're interested in, obviously, and more than just interested in, that really affect us as Catholic Christians. And some of them we're in alignment with, and we thank the governor for and the others for their position and their good work on things that they have done, but they know it, they know it's coming. We always challenge them as well on some things like, the capital punishment perhaps, or, issues affecting our environment, things like that. And usually it's a good exchange because they know it's coming. They know that we agree on some things and we don't. But I guess, I would just want to keep doing that. If I could do that now, say the same thing.
Switching back to the immigration discussion we've been having, have you heard from people that are undocumented migrants that are in our churches that are sitting next to us in the pews? What are they telling you about this whole situation?
I've heard mostly from parish leaders, that is from our pastors, and also from those who work with folks very closely in our parishes. And I have heard some folks have talked to me or sent me letters. The main thing that comes out is this fear that people have, whether they're documented or not, but especially those, obviously, if you're not documented, they live in fear. Our numbers are way down in those coming to church. As well as, they tell us they don't even want to go shopping or go out because they're afraid that if they get pulled over for something that, they may get deported. And I have heard stories of even parishioners who then have been taken to that detention center in the Everglades. And they've shared their stories with their parishes and everything, the parish ministers. And then one staff member, I believe, told me that, I believe he's a staff member full-time, but at least, he is. He told me that he was just pumping gas and he was asked, approached and asked to show his ID. Well, he was born here. He's been here. His family's been here for many generations. And he actually said, well, why do I have to show you that? And he said the officer was kind of apologetic and said, I'm just doing my job. I'm sorry. And so he showed him his ID and I was born right here, or Alabama, wherever it was. But just hearing things like that, the biggest thing is just fear and uncertainty that people are experiencing.
A lot of people, at least in our comment section, we originally posted your letter and then posted a follow-on story. There were plenty of people that supported what you said, but there are also plenty of people that felt like this wasn't the place of a church to talk about this, to talk about immigration or any sort of policy, really. What do you want people to know about what the church is supposed to be doing? And what do you want them to know about the church's position on immigration?
I like that people have been commenting, mostly positive, but some negative and some very, very negative. And I actually not enjoy that. I think that's good. We need to have this conversation. That's what I was hoping for this. I'm hoping that we can talk about this as Christians, for those of us who are in the church, and not just as politicians, as someone who lines up on one side or the other, but let's look at this through the lens of the gospel and the lens of Christianity. And that's really how we ought to look at everything. We had this phrase, what would Jesus do? That's very popular for a while and everything, but really that kind of gets to the heart of it. What would Jesus do? Who would Jesus deport, or something like that. I think what I want people to know about the Catholic position is this, that our dignity comes not from anything we have done or something that someone has granted to us. Our dignity is inherent. It comes from just being a child of God, being born in the image and likeness of God. And so that levels everything. And so going from there, I understand, of course, we need laws to regulate our lives here. The government has the authority to regulate the border, and we hope they do and secure the border. But also, how do we treat one another who are here in our community right now? How can we be Christ for them?
What happens next? You've written this letter. We've heard responses from Catholics, non-Catholics, people that agree, don't agree. What is the next thing that should happen, either from your office or from the diocese or just from Catholics in general?
I mean, I think we just keep following up on it. It's engaging a lot of people to have conversations with us. Some are kind of one-sided when they send a letter, very angry letter, but I always, if they have an address, I try to write them back, engage them and talk to them, because I think we need to have this conversation. We're so used to kind of almost shouting at each other, and canceling people if we disagree with them. But let's talk about it. What is the way to go forward? Is it really, do people believe it's somehow to round up millions and millions of people and deport them? I don't know, do people think that's what it is? Some people say, oh, so you think just open the borders and let everyone come in. I am not saying that at all. But what do we do with the situation in which we find ourselves now? I think what we want to continue to do is have that conversation, and just engage people about that, because I don't have the answers, and I don't even propose all the answers in the letter. If you read that, I'm just really raising the question, saying, can we look at this in another way? Are we as Catholics really being pro-life if we do want to just round everyone up and send them away? So it really is to continue that conversation.
What are the keys through a Catholic lens that the immigration system in America needs in order to improve or get better?
I think obviously the fact that we're all created in the image and likeness of God, and all are created equally, and that's huge. Also, this right that we have we believe that there is a right to migrate, especially if there is a reason why one is leaving. One cannot find security or food or the means to survive in one's place of birth, that one has a right to migrate. Now, they have to respect the laws of the countries to where they are migrating. I get that. But nonetheless, that's still something that, that's a key to us. It's also, I think, really important that we know that we are, as Christians, a pilgrimage people. We're a pilgrim people. This is not our true home. We're on our way to our true home in heaven. God reminds us through Moses in Exodus. He said, do not oppress the resident alien in your land, for you yourselves were once aliens residing in Egypt. And so it's really part of who we are, that it's not just us versus them, but we're all kind of in this together. That's important for people to know.
Perfect. Well, Bishop William Wack is the Bishop of the Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. God bless you.